Okay, so after discussing very simplified the very simplified concepts of negotiable instruments law, we will proceed now with bouncing checks. And please take note that these bouncing checks, ito yung nakasulat talaga doon sa CPA licensure examination na terms of specifications and syllabus. Okay? So ito talaga ang dapat nyo bigyan ng emphasis and pansin. Okay? So, we have Batas Pambansa Bilang 22 or in short BP 22. Batas Pambansa 22. So, the title of the act is the title of the law is an act penalizing the making of drawing and issuance of a check without sufficient funds or credit and for other purposes. Yun yung title. Then, it's a 1979 law. So, medyo matagal-tagal na rin. Hindi pa kayo napanganak kahit ako. Panganak na pala. BP 22 punishes a person for issuing a worthless or bound check. O tawag ng iba, bouncing check. Okay, o talbog na check eh. Ganun yun. Kasi walang laman. Walang pera sa bangko. Nag-issue ng check eh. Okay. Tapos, nung in-encash na wala palang pera sa bangko, yun ang gusto i-punish ng BP 22. Okay. So, the main intention of the law is to make the issuer of a worthless check liable. Since the introduction of worthless checks is not just harmful to the innocent payees, but to the entire economy as well. Okay, remember class, sa negotiable instrument law, okay, ang purpose ng negotiable instruments is to facilitate trade, facilitate business. Okay, so para mas madaling makipag-transact, okay, hindi ka bitbit ng malaking amounts of money. So instruments lang. In this modern times, check usually. So, imaginein mo, kapag sa business world, may check-in na walang pundo nag-ikot-ikot. Okay? It will disrupt the economy and it will hurt businesses. So, yun ang ayaw na mangyari ng BP22. Kaya, ang gusto i-punish ng BP22 is the act of issuing a worthless check. Take note, last, yung act ng pagbibigay ng check-in na walang pundo, yun ang pinapunish ng BP 22. Regardless of your intention, kung anong intention mo, wala nang pakialam BP 22 doon. Basta nag-issue ka ng check-in na walang pundo, yun ang magiging liability mo. Okay? Requisites, ano ba ang requirements or elements para maging liable ka under BP 22? Ito nakasulat sa batas. The following essential elements must be present in order to be liable under BP 22. For example, may nag-issue sa'yo ng checking, in-encash mo sa bangko, walang laman. Then you look at this para malaman mo kung if you can file a case or not. Number 1, the person accused of violating the law, yung nag-issue ng check, makes or draws or issues any check for the account, or for value. So, yung BP 22, applicable lang sa check. Hindi sa promissory note, hindi sa pang bill of exchange dyan, check lang. So, kung ang in-issue sa'yo promissory note or any bill of exchange na hindi naman check, hindi na applicable dito. Ito is check lang talaga ang involved. Number 2, he has knowledge, yung tao na nag-issue ng check, has knowledge at the time he issued the check that he does not have sufficient funds or credit with the bank para mabayaran yung check when presented for payment. Okay, so alam niya na walang pondo. Pag-issue pa lang. Number 3, the drawee bank dishonors the check because of insufficiency of funds, or it would have dishonored the check for the same reason if the issuer did not order the bank to stop the payment for no valid reason. May mga iba kasi class, alam nila na walang pondo yung check So, tapos mag-due date na bukas, tawagan nila yung bangko. Stop mo yung payment, huwag mo bayaran yung check So, pagdating ng check sa bank, sabi ng bangko, ay, may stop ano man ito, may order na stop yung payment. So, para walang lusot yung mag-issue ng worthless check, sabi ng batas, pati yung pagpa-stop sa payment for no valid reason para hindi siya ma-encash, kasama yun sa liability. Okay? Kasi akala ng iba, yung pag BP22 na case, ang reason is walang pundo ang cheque. May palusot kasi na, ay wala, hindi man yan di-dishonor ng bank dahil sa walang pondo. Kundi stop payment ang reason. Ipa-stop yung payment. So, pati yung pagpa-stop ng payment for no valid reason is covered by BP22. Dito kasi ang stop payment clause, for example, nag-order ka ng goods sa supplier mo, nagbigay ka ng cheque. Tapos ayaw niya na mag-deliver. Ayaw mag-deliver. So, tawagan mo yung bangko. Ay, bank, huwag mo bayaran yung cheque na nag-issue ko sa kay supplier. Yun ang stop payment. Pag ginawa mo yun, may valid reason ka kasi hindi man niya i-deliver yung goods. That is not included sa BP22 na liability. Ang liable sa BP22 is gipa-stop niyang payment for no valid reason. Because actually the reason there is wala pondo kaya gipa-stop payment niya. Kaya kasama yun sa BP22 na case. Check with insufficient funds. So ano yung mga cheque na walang pondo? Number 1, close account. Nag-issue ka ng cheque. Okay. Tapos pag in ka sa bangko, sabi ng bangko, ay, nag-close naman ang account nito. Okay. So, check with insufficient fund pa rin yan kasi yung fund gi-close mo, di wala pondo. Kasama yun. Kasama yun sa definition ng checks with insufficient funds. Number 2 is itong DAIF. Okay. Yung cheque na walang pondo, tatakan niya ng bangko, DAIF. Ibig sabihin ng DAIF, drawn against insufficient funds. Okay. May account siya pero walang pondo. DAIF. So, yun yung mga magiging yun. Yung account close, minsan, nagtatakpo din sa cheque. Close account. Okay. So, ito yung mga ebidensya mo na walang pondo yung cheque. So, evidence of knowledge of insufficient funds. Sabi kasi sa batas, dapat pag-issue ng cheque ng issuer ng check, dapat alam niya na walang pondo. Ang problema is, paano mo malaman na alam niya? Because yung knowledge kasi, hindi naman yan visible. Nasa utak lang yan ng tao eh. How will you know na yung nag-issue ng cheque, alam niya na walang pondo? Okay, paano mo i-prove yan sa court? Itong sabi, the law presumes that the issuer knew of the insufficiency of these funds if the check is dishonored within 90 days from the date of the check. Okay? So, presume yung knowledge. Okay? Pag-issue ng check, ng January 1, 2021. So, mag-count ka ng 90 days. Kapag ano mo sa bangko, 90 days is 3 months. Kapag i-cash mo sa bangko within 90 days, tapos nagtalbog, okay, presume, ang batas mismo nag-presume na yung nag-issue, alam niya na walang pondo. So, take note class, ang presumption will only occur kung nag-encash ka within the 90 days from the date of the check. Kung more than that, after 100 days, i-prove mo na sa court na alam nung issuer na walang pondo. Pero itong 90 days, hindi na ito nag-aabot kasi minsan yung mga bangko, 2 months lang still check na. 2 months lang still check na. So, pag usually sa practice sa bank, 2 months lang, 3 months lang, 90 days pa rin yan. So, if you can still remember the definition of stale check, okay, dapat ipa-encash mo yung check within the time na binigay sa iyo ng issuer or ng bank. Usually 2 months, 3 months sa actual. Sabi sa discussion natin, usually 6 months, pero sa actual, mga 2 months, 3 months lang ang ginabigay ng bank. So, pasok pa rin sa 90 days. Kapag ka tumalbog within 90 days from the issuance of the check, okay, yung knowledge of the sufficiency of funds is presumed ng law. This presumption is overcome only if the issuer pays or makes arrangement for payment of the full amount of the check within 5 banking days after receiving notice of dishonor. Okay, importante ito class. Pagtalbog ng cheque, file din ka BP22 case? No. You are required by law to notify in writing yung issuer ng check. Okay. Hindi ka pwede mag-file ka agad ng case kasi nagtalbog. Bigyan mo muna ng pagkakataon yung nag-issue ng check by giving a written notice of dishonor. Sabihin mo sa kanya, uy, issuer, uy, drawer, hindi i-cash ng bank kasi sabi insufficiency funds daw. So sabi ng drawer, ay, ganun ba? Sige, ganito na lang, within 5 days, bayaran kita. So pag binayaran naman niya within 5 days from the notice of dishonor, hindi siya liable for BP22. Okay? Hindi siya liable. Hindi mo siya pwede kasuhan ng bouncing check. Kasi he made arrangement na bayaran within 5 banking days from the notice of dishonor. Okay, kani importante. There must be proof that the issuer was notified of the fact of the dishonor and proof that the issuer had received such notice of dishonor. So kailangan mo siya i-notify and then kailangan mo ng proof na yung natanggap niya yung notice of dishonor. So kung i-notify mo yung nag-issue ng cheque na talbog, isulat mo. Then pagbigay mo sa kanya, papirmahan mo na natanggap niya. Okay, dalawang kopya ang gawin mo. Yung isa bigay mo sa kanya, yung second copy, papirmahin mo siya na natanggap niya kung anong date. Kasi yun ang magiging proof mo na na-notify mo siya in writing, na nagpirma siya doon na natanggap niya yung notice. So what is the duty of the drawee? Ito yung bank. Anong gawin ng bank? Nag-issue ng cheque, dinala sa bangko, sabi ng bangko, uy, walang pondo, anong pwede gawin ng bangko? Kita, tatakan. It shall be the duty of the drawee of any check when refusing to pay the same to cause to be written, printed, or stamped in plain language thereon, or attached thereto the reason for the drawee's dishonor, or refusal to pay the same. Kaya yung mga bangko, ginatatakan nila ng daif or account close yung cheque because required sila by law. Natatakan kapag ka magtalbog. Provided that there are no sufficient funds or in credit to such drawee bank, always be explicitly notice dishonor for refusal. So, ibig sabihin lang nito class, itatakan talaga ng bangko. Kasi duty yan nila under the law. Under BP22, sabi ng batas, bangko, pag nagtalbog cheque, tatakan mo kung bakit nagtalbog. Pwede account close or the if. Okay, what is credit? Nakasulat sa batas, ang define niya, nag-issue ng credit. Ang credit class is actually simple lang, account mo sa bangko. The word credit shall be construed to mean an arrangement or understanding with the bank for the payment of such check. So, credit, ibig sabihin, may pondo ka sa bangko. Okay. So, take note class, ang BP22 is a different law. Iba din itong estafa under the revised penal code. Ibang batas din ito. Okay. Pag nagtalbog kasi ang cheque class, dalawa magiging kaso mo. Violation of BP22 and estafa under Article 315 Paragraph 2D of the revised penal code. Anong kaibahan? Take note class, ang sabi ko kanina sa BP22, ang purpose ng batas is i-punish yung act of issuing a worthless check. Yung act of issuing a worthless check. Sa estafa class, ang ginakaso dito is yung panluloko. Niloko mo ako kasi gissuean mo ako ng check na wala palang pondo. So magkaiba yun na aspect. Ang purpose ng BP22 para walang checking worthless na pumasok sa commercial world. Ang purpose ng revised penal code, i-punish yung mga taong nanluloko. So sa BP22, ang ginapunish is the act of issuing a worthless check. Ang purpose naman ng estafa under revised penal code is i-punish yung panluloko. Magkaiba yung dalawa na yun na aspect. Although isang series of transaction lang yun, pero dalawa ang magiging kaso. Okay? Pag numalbog ang cheque, i-notify ka, hindi mo pa rin binayaran. Ang kaso mo, BP22 at saka estafa. Under 2. Marami kasi panluloko sa revised penal code class. Yung pag-issue ng, yung panluloko sa pag-issue ng bouncing check, nasa paragraph 2D ng revised penal code. Estafa yun. So it must also be noted that a person liable for BP22 may at the same time be liable for estafa under Article 315, paragraph 2D of the revised penal code. So the essential elements of estafa, kasi yung essential elements ng BP22 nandoon kanina sa previous slide. Ngayon naman, ano ang elements para maging liable for estafa under 315 2D of the revised penal code? Number 1, a check is postdated or issued in payment of an obligation contracted at the time the check is issued. Tapos ang pag-issue nito is may halong panluloko. Lack or insufficiency of funds to cover the check and damage to the payee thereof. Yung damage to the payee class ang pinaka-importante. Naloko siya. Kasi yung 1 and 2, halos nandoon din ito sa BP22 eh. Yung damage, ito talaga importante sa staff. Itong damage cost to the payee. Now, sabi ng iba, sir, hindi ba yan siya double jeopardy? Hindi yan double jeopardy because under the law, ang double jeopardy class, okay, the same crime, dalawang beses kaso. Okay. Nagpatay ka ng tao, kinasuhan ka dalawang beses. Ang unang beses, na-dismiss ang kaso. So, ginawa nila, ikasuhan ka ulit, the same act. Pagpatay pa rin. Double jeopardy yun. Pero dito, walang double jeopardy because dalawang different aspect ng act ang ginapunish. May kaibang cause. May kaibang ground. Okay. So, sa estafa class, it is the deceit or the fraud attendant to the issuance of the check which is punished. Panluloko. So, prima facie evidence of deceit exists by law upon proof that the drawer of the check failed to deposit the amount necessary to cover his check within 3 days from receipt of notice of dishonor. So, sa estafa class, notify mo pa rin siya to within 3 days dapat punduhan niya. Okay, just take note na kapag ka nagtalbog ang check, sulat ka kagad, dalawang papel, sulatan mo. Yung isa, ibigay mo sa kanya notice. Yung isa, papirman mo sa kanya na natanggap niya yung notice para may proof ka. So, dalawa na ang proof mo. Yung check-in na may tatak ng bangko ng account close or DAIF. Second proof mo, yung papel ng notice of dishonor. Tapos, may nakapirma doon ng drawer na natanggap niya yung notice. Okay. So, the key issue is whether the complainant would have parted with his money, property, or any object of the transaction, or if not for the issuance of the check, it turns out to be unfunded. So, panluloko pa rin. So, this is the end of BP22. Maiksi lang ito na law. Take note class, mas bigyan nyo importansya ang BP22 and estafa class. Itong lecture na ito because ito yung kasama sa syllabus ng CPA Licensure Examination. Okay? And for purposes of our course, hanggang dito sa BP22 ang coverage ng midterm examinations. Okay?